Here in 2021 in Q3, chatbot marketing is hot as anything. How would you like to have a chat conversation and engage your buyers and sellers across all your marketing channels? In this video, I'm going to share the power of the starting step inside of ManyChat that is a trigger point for how the conversation gets started. Let's dive in and let me share the power of the starting step. Okay, here on the ManyChat platform now, let me take you into creating a flow and show you the starting step and how you can decide what areas you want the flow to begin with, whether it's a QR code, a URL, and so forth, and the power behind ManyChat. So here on the flow builder, I'll hit new flow and I'll create it my flow here. So as the editor opens up, you'll notice that every flow starts with a starting step. Now over here, just to show you the starting step based on the activity, if I hit the blue plus sign, I can hit Messenger. And if I wanted to go to Messenger first, with this flow, I'd simply drag right here and drop it on Messenger. And then I can delete the Instagram one here. So now I can have a simple flow. I may want to say, hi, so-and-so, hi, first name. We'll go down and pick first name. And let me just do a simple flow. How are you? Right? With a little question mark. So to send this flow to somebody, we have a starting step. And the starting step could be all kinds of things that I'm going to share with you here. So if I look at the all triggers, some of the popular ones that I have, and I'll focus more on the popular ones, is the web widget itself, or we call them widgets. So you could obviously have a chat on your web page. So somebody comes to the page and the chatbot is there to interact. And when they start interacting, you're going to send them into a flow, whether that's an overall menu or a buyer flow or seller flow, whatever you have on your squeeze page. They also have what's called slider ins and takeovers and different buttons and boxes and stuff that you can put on your website. So as a widget, if you ever been to a website where you try to leave the website and all of a sudden the page takes over or a slider comes in and says, wait, I have an ebook for you, or give me this and I'll give you that. That's what's called a slider or takeover. So think about the possibilities on your real estate page, to really set up the page to really interact with those buyers and sellers. As I come down below, there's other popular ones here in the starters. You have what's called omni-channel widget, which is on your website. You could have SMS and email and chat right on the main page. QR codes is a great one, especially in today's day and age where QR codes are at a major comeback. Most restaurants will have QR codes on the table to bring up the menu. As a realtor or an investor, you really should take advantage of QR codes as a starting point for a conversation for all your marketing materials. As I come down on the list here, we have keywords. Keywords go across Facebook, SMS, and Instagram. And now there's also a WhatsApp capability on the channel on ManyChat, where you could be listening to keywords that somebody does on those channels. And when the keyword gets hit, you can trigger this particular flow. So for example, this is I have a Facebook flow here. When I click on this, I could have it listen to things like rent, buy, and sell, right? So that when somebody messages me in one of those channels, they come to your Facebook page and they type in something that has the word, one of these three words, this particular flow can trigger an interaction. And what I like to do here is I like to use what's called the contains. The contains is a very powerful feature. So if somebody goes to your Facebook page and says, I'm looking for a 2-bedroom house in Ambler, Pennsylvania, I'm looking to buy a 2-bedroom house. In that case, the buy is going to be the word is triggering that automatically start the conversation on this channel. So I'll put that right in here. Now, if I hit add triggers, I'll talk about some additional ones here. So if I look at my triggers here and I come down, in addition to keywords, we also have a series of Facebook triggers here. And then down below here, you'll see Instagram triggers. So I could do a custom chat right on the website. JSON is very specific to advertising, and I have a video on my channel about setting up JSON ads. And then I also have another video talking about Facebook comments. So you do a post on your Facebook page, And when they comment, you could trigger and send them into a specific flow here as a starting step. So check out those videos on the channel. Another popular one I like to use is what's called a messenger ref URL. So in this particular example, I can have if this is a seller flow, I can set it up so that ManyChat creates a URL here with the word sell in it, so that when somebody clicks on this URL, it'll automatically start this conversation. So that could start talking about the seller's motivation around selling in the system here. So in here, it's very important to also name each of these. So in the top of the page, when you're setting up a trigger in the starting step, ManyChat will they call these grow tools in the ManyChat world, they'll just sequentially number them. What you want to do, if this is a seller flow, I would name it as a seller URL, grow tool. So that way, when I go in and set this up, the seller URL will be tagged, so that way I can track where this person came in all of my marketing that I'm doing. As I come further down, I can do the same with Instagram comments. And I'll finalize like things like SMS. SMS is a critical starting step where you could have messages in your marketing where if somebody texts the word rent or buy or sell to a phone number, you may want to start an individual flow inside of Messenger or inside of Instagram. Depends on where you're playing your marketing game. So in this case, the last thing I'll show you is events. Events are a very powerful part of ManyChat. These are rules in the rules engine in ManyChat. So I can have a starting step in this flow that is triggering the event based on something happening, like a new contact or a tag being applied to a buyer or renter or seller, or a tag being removed, or a value of a field changing. I could trigger a flow. I could also do based on what's called time triggers, and I'll show you an example of that. So if I jump over here and in the menu, I come down to rules. In my ProEdge ChatBot package, I have lots of rules I take advantage of from buyers and sellers and stuff, and I also have rules around open houses. So let me show you this particular rule here. This particular rule is triggering 4 hours after the last interaction. So if you're a realtor that has an open house, somebody scans a QR code at the open house when they walk in the house, that's the starting interaction. And I may have a flow that's tied to the scan of a QR code that starts talking and promoting the open house. And then I have a rule here that says 4 hours after that interaction, I'm going to open up another flow, which is the open house follow-up flow. So if I open this guy up, and over here I can hit this little open trigger, you'll see at the very beginning of this flow is the event. So that's another starting step event that we've added to this flow. So this one's based on a timing event, which is based on a date and time when the last interaction was with a person. So I use this particular strategy to interact with them from the last time they were in the house, which is 4 hours prior. Now what you'll see in summary here, if I go over to my ProEdge package and go to my business card, the power of the starting step is you can have all different ways to interact to the person. So as you see in this particular example, I call other flows are calling my business card, but this particular starting step, I'm triggering it based on URLs. So if I'm sending text messages out or emails out to my buyers and sellers, if they click on the link in the email, this flow is going to begin and I'm going to share my business card. I also have a QR code on my business card. So I have on my phone here, I have a QR code tied to the phone itself. As I open this up here, you'll see that I have a QR code right as the background image on my phone. I'm also listening for SMS and Facebook keywords on my business card. So if somebody says something on the channel of SMS or Facebook, this particular business card will be sent to them for that person to get my details to do business with. So I hope you see the power of the starting step in ManyChat. They call them grow tools or triggers. And with these triggers, you could put your marketing activities across all of the areas that have interactions with the chatbot, so that whether they're on a website, they're scanning a t-shirt QR code, or a print advertising that you're doing or a text message, you could always bring them back into the conversation through an interactive flow inside of ManyChat that's going to have that conversation with the buyer or seller or renter or agent if you're attracting agents in your brokerage. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, give me some thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm here and committed to providing these videos each week for you with technical tips and strategies to help drive more deals and make this the best decade ever.